Hey everybody, it's me, Edward Jones, back with a new video. SHTF story, power outage 2015. On Saturday, there was a storm in Colombia, and it happened while I was out of town. I didn't find out about it until I came back from visiting family in Manning. But there was a rainstorm, and there was some limbs that fallen close by the house, and so it tore the it was crazy. It tore the power lines not just off, but it broke the lines off the back of the house. Not even a triplex. It broke the power broke two out of the three power lines off the wall, bent it all the way back to where the meter box was, and so we were without power for 4 days, which I would say is the longest I've ever been without. Excuse me, been without electricity, um, in any place I was staying at. So I'm just gonna share a bit of what I experienced during the whole thing. First off, it was hot. It was really hot. It was really hot outside, and it wasn't really any better at night. Um, I remember laying down. I remember when I got home. I think it was around 2 o'clock in the morning, and I did some laundry. I took some laundry over to my grandparents' house, and I took my bed sheets. And when I came back, there was no light. The power was completely out. So I took my Streamlight flashlight, which is over there by my bed. But I took that and I propped it up on top of my water purifier, and I used the light from that to basically light up the area where I was making up my bed, just so I had some light to do that. But it was so the humidity was so much, even with both windows open. I couldn't sleep in the bed, so I had to sleep on the bed. I think the temperature that night was maybe 82. Our thermostat was battery powered, so it's still able to keep the temperature inside the house. And I remember waking up sweating. Now we still had hot water in the house, but it didn't last too long. So it was like whatever hot water the water heater kept, we were able to use just that. After all that hot water was ran out, it was just regular water like lukewarm water from there. Another thing, um, this me and my friend Adam were talking about it, and we said it's a good thing, one, that we had water. It's a good thing water was still running, and two, um, if we had our druthers, we rather this happen during the fall or winter, because that way we can add layers. The hard part about a power outage, during the summers, you can't really add anything um, unless you have like battery powered fans, or you have a generator, which I have not invested in yet, but that's on my to do list. It's gonna be you gotta make do with what you have. So what I did was I stayed out the house. I went to work, and then I hang out at a bakery that I go to that a lot of my friends work at, and I just stayed there. Um, and I would come home at around 1 or 2 o'clock, and just so I don't have to be in the house when it's dark, and there's no air conditioning running. And one thing I noticed, that the temperature it would rise just about every night. I think the final temperature I remember it being on the night before the power came on, which was what's it right now? It's almost 12:30. The power came back on yesterday at around, or at least it was on. It was back on when I came home at around 7 o'clock. But I remember the temperature was reading 88 degrees. And my friend Adam, he said that it was actually at 90 at one point. So that's not it's not very it was not very comfortable going to sleep. Like I said, I spent a lot of time outside the house, which makes sense. Now I understand that when there's a power outage during the summer, why a lot of people go outside. They go outside because it's just too uncomfortable to be indoors, where there may not be a lot of ventilation, not a lot of air circulating through that could bring out some of the hot air. and make it more comfortable to relax indoors. So people go outside to cool off, and so I completely I understand that. I understand that point. After this, um, I even contemplated sleeping in the sleeping in the truck. One of the windows were down, but it wasn't really doable. It was still a little bit muggy inside the cab of the truck, so I just went back inside. One idea I came up with was I took and I did this on two nights ago. Basically, last night when the power was out, I took one. I had a shirt like this that's with sleeves cut off, a white T-shirt. I wet the whole T-shirt, and I already have a towel over my pillow. What I did was I wet the T-shirt with just with cold water. I wrung it out, and I laid it just on my pillow. I laid it on half of the pillow, and then just laid it out on the bed. And I was shirtless the whole time. I laid on my back, and I slept like that. When I woke up in the morning, I wasn't as hot as I normally. I wasn't as hot and sweaty as I normally was. Um, in the previous nights when I woke up, because the previous nights it took a toll on me to where my alarm would go off and I didn't want to roll out of bed. It was just just didn't feel like getting out of bed. I didn't feel like moving because of the heat. Um, let's see, food. I ate out a lot. I don't eat a whole lot, but when I did, I'll go out and get a sandwich. Um, because I couldn't really cook. Now I could cook. I still have the propane burner, but I really didn't want to run that. One thing I learned is when it's very hot, especially indoors, you don't really want to do anything. You don't really want to set things up. In fact, one of the things I did was I made sure that any major chores I had was already done. When we had a little bit of hot water, I made sure I washed any dishes I had, which weren't very many because I wasn't cooking anything, and I washed dishes before I left town before the power went out. But when it's very humid, you don't want to do anything. You want to try to relax and stay cool. Um, and if anything, if you have to do anything, you probably gonna want to do it at night when when it's a tad cooler. You don't want to do anything during the day, especially indoors because it's just hot. But like I said, what made the experience a whole lot easier was that we had water running in the house. Now, have we not had any water running in the house? I still have some water stored that I could fall back on, but it would make things a bit it would make things more difficult. Bathing. I did brush my teeth, but the last time I took a shower, not counting tonight while I'm doing this video, but I took a shower Saturday, and I didn't take a shower until the power came back on. The reason for that was I don't like taking I'm not I can wash my I can kind of wash myself at the bathroom sink. I don't like taking cold showers. And I told a friend it was like maybe it was day three without a shower. I told a friend what was going on. I said I didn't take a shower since Saturday, and personal hygiene really mattered because he said, "Wow, I can't even tell that I can't even tell that you haven't taken a shower in so long." So whatever habits you have um, may either intensify or may drop depending on the severity of the conditions that you're in. But I tend to be a fairly clean person. I'm always washing my hands at work. I'm always keeping myself tidy, make sure I'm fairly clean. Um, that way I can stretch out. That way I was able to stretch out how many days I can go without showering. Um, Yesterday morning was when I actually I got some. What I normally do is I get some soap and run some water on a dish rag and on a washcloth and soap it up a bit and then just wipe myself, and that way I can at least clean myself before I go out. Um, but I didn't have an odor that would offend people, and I didn't look I didn't look a total mess. I was just keeping up my hygiene and going about my day as I normally would. And it's funny it's funny that I didn't smell because I've been riding my bike more often. Truck's running again. Like I said, I drove from I drove back and forth to visit family. I hope to do a video just showing just showing some of the things I've done to it and some things I will still have to do down the road. But yeah, I mean, so far the experience wasn't that bad. It was uncomfortable, from the heat. Food in the freezer thawed out. Another thing I would say is, do not wrap your meat in aluminum foil, which is a thing that we're gonna start doing. We have to start doing this in this house, just in case another power outage happens again. We don't have like a mess spilling out of the fridge. What happened was I opened up the freezer door, and then I closed it to open up the fridge door, and I noticed all this blood started running down. I said, where did that come from? Then I noticed that the freezer, I said, all the meat thawed out. So I didn't have any. I'm using the meat I have was already in its original packaging. We just had some stuff that's been wrapped in aluminum foil, and like I said, it's best to have things in a Ziploc bag, just in case you have another power outage. Everything can still stay together rather than just leaking out any open pores that you may have in your packing material. I took the milk out. I poured it in a separate container and left it at left it in the refrigerator at work, and I finished drinking it yesterday. Um, I had some mashed potatoes I had to throw out, which I was kind of disappointed because it was good when it was fresh, but that can't be helped. Um, surprisingly, fried liver stayed stayed in good shape um, when it wasn't refrigerated. So, but yeah, that was my experience. Hope to have some more SHTF stories down the road. You have any questions or comments? Please make a video response or leave a comment in the comment section. Any gripes, complaints? Send me a PM. I'll see what I can do to address them. But that's my video. SHTF story, power outage 2015. I'm Edward Jones, and thanks for watching.